But he doesn't talk about it in terms of where his social status was in the school, which means it may have been a non-issue. So one of the things you may find out is that people who closely identified with either being an outcast or being the jock or the cheerleader or the chess club president or the junior class president, they may find those things really important to tell you, and sort of the great unwashed masses don't feel any reason to say it. So you may only get that class, where they were in terms of the social hierarchy, for folks that it really, really mattered to. And what may be interesting is we may find out that for a lot of these folks it kind of didn't matter. And what does that say about it? What does that say about the way we do school? Good point, good catch. You could be that girl if you want. Next one. You don't have to. Nobody has to. I won't remember you the next time I'm here, honestly. So when I give you your label, you can just, it wasn't me, that was that other kid. One more. Oh, sorry.
So he was like that. This was like the first person said, wasn't in Caucasian in Huntsville, but the second person said I was younger.
Right. So he doesn't get this, I was the white kid in the black school. He doesn't get that I was the young kid in the older school. Clearly he's black, African American, whatever checkbox that is, and it doesn't come up. So what does that say about his experience? And he doesn't talk about being picked on or left out, or so maybe this is a case where race doesn't matter. Maybe we have that transcended race. All really interesting questions, and all interesting ways to play with the way you read these videos, the way you look at these videos as text. You take them apart and unpack them and think about how people make sense of their experiences.
I have a question with that. Can we, because he doesn't mention race, now there's infinite things that he didn't say.
Right.
But only 2 minutes and 33 seconds of what he did say.
Right.
So can we only talk about what we're seeing, or is talking about what we're not seeing get us in a weird spot because what we're not seeing is infinite?
Right. Here's what you need to do in terms of that. You clearly have to document what you are seeing. That's your data. But when you start seeing places where that data doesn't show up, and you might expect it to, what's common about those stories? So let's kind of give you this example. And this is going to be a little, I'll do this short. This is going to mean a little more to you, I think, than a little down for
I never took this class.
Okay. No, but you did. But you did. Hang on.
Right.
You all know this, actually, right? You go to school because of where you live. And people try to design school to meet everybody's expectations and needs. So when we talk about school, we're talking about sort of this really textured, really diverse, really layered experience. But yet, everybody sort of thinks about it as school. So it goes back to the issue of labeling trees or labeling your favorite meal or labeling the football game. And when you can start sort of saying from a large data set, and I'm talking when you get thousands of these, interestingly, these people don't talk about it. They don't talk about fitting in, they don't talk about not fitting in. And maybe, and this is where the issue of not knowing what he does could be important. Because do people who go on to be lawyers, who knows? Doesn't matter where they fit into high school. They had a larger vision down the road. So you can't say what something definitely means, but you can raise questions about why it might be missing.
Okay.
And that's that's a completely valid interpretation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you gonna give me a girl?
Mercy.
Okay, Mercy.
You want? Yeah. This is the shortest one.
Okay, let's do the shortest one. Again, what's the same? What's different? And pay attention here, folks. You got a different gender. Go.
I'm Mercy Jenkins, and I went to Miller High School. And what has school done for me? Well, I felt that school was an escape for me. Growing up, it was a place where I could go and really challenge my mind without worrying about the daily things that were my responsibility at home. School was also a responsibility. I knew that when I went there, my job was to do my best. And it didn't matter who was there teaching me. I learned from an early age that it didn't matter who the teacher was or how boring the topic was, I still had to learn it. So it was my responsibility to find a way to learn it so I can pass the test, so I can go to a different class, things like that. There were a few teachers who were very influential, either by a negative impact, maybe being too strict, and saying that if you don't say I had biology, and we had to do our notebooks a certain way, number it on the right-hand side, upper right-hand, title our page, do our chapters, answer the questions, and if those weren't done, we lost a lot of points in our notebook. And so I think I spent a lot of my time worrying about how things should be instead of actually learning. And I spent the notebook and looking back and going, wow, I covered a lot of things. But basically it was, wow, I really listened to that teacher, you know. But then there are some other teachers who were very influential in a positive way. Like my 3rd and 4th grade teacher, he really was personable with his children, with the students. He wanted to include every student in something, so they were involved in student council, helping in the classroom, collecting soup cans, things like that that were of some influence within the community. And it helped me see that me as an individual, I can be smart academically, but also use my other artistic skills or balancing out my emotional well-being in the classroom and in my school atmosphere. So school for me has allowed me to be able to search those different areas and try to find a medium balance so I can be this individual that I am. Actually right now, I'm a parent and I stay at home, but I also am going towards the master's for education, and so I go back into the teaching realm, hoping that I've learned from all these influences of the past and present and listening to other professionals and being able to implement those skills into my classroom. So my kids can leave going, what I learned from school changed my life and what I do.
Okay, how is that the same? How is that different? Way in the back, sorry. No. That would be you. You're the way in the back. Or are you just stretching? Okay, go.
I think that she really didn't. It's different than the others because others talk about like their social life, and I think she really focused what was going on in the classroom and like the way teachers taught their education to the students. I think she really focused on that and not really in other videos.
Stark contrast to the one we saw before it, right? Really different. Two very different stories. And I don't know whether that, in the end, you may get more narratives like this and you may get more narratives like the other one. It's hard to know yet, but it's a really interesting point.
She went into detail more than the other ones.
She was so articulate. I mean, really, if you could get a bunch of, I make fun about how I do these, but actually, and I'll teach you guys how to do it at some later date, I draw pictures with lots of arrows about how ideas fit together, and the more arrows I get the link stuff, the tighter a story it is. She was phenomenally articulate. She gave a huge amount of detail, and gave that detail, here I am talking for you, but she also gave the detail about her experience then, and now when she thinks about it now, which was really cool. She told you what happened, she reflected on it. So it's a really important point to pay attention to the language. If I were coding this one, I'd have to watch this like 5 or 6 times to get all the richness in every little point that you made. So that's not sort of a side thing when you start doing the coding work. Some cases you're going to have to go through things several times to make sure it's coded the way you want. Some of them, they're going to be kind of fluffy. You've heard the story before. 3 or 4 codes, you're out. So don't basically say, don't fall prey to Mr. Wheeler saying, you got to go code video in 4 minutes. I know you didn't do that. But you get my point, and I think your point's really well taken.